Hey guys, what's going on? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 25 of my 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today I want to continue talking about Brian Lee O'Malley's Scott Pilgrim series from Oni Press. I want to talk to you about Volume 4, Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together. This volume takes a little bit of a step down from Volume 3. I thought very highly of Volume 3. I liked that it spent the bulk of the book actually on the evil X that Scott has to fight, because that is allegedly the through line of this entire series, but for the previous two volumes, it spent maybe 20% of each volume on the evil X that Scott had to fight. And this book kind of returns to that. The evil X that he has to fight, spoiler, is actually an ex-girlfriend. We find out that Ramona is maybe bisexual. She doesn't really own up to it. She says that it was just a phase. But basically, this evil X, we don't know anything about her. She says that she's half ninja, and basically her defining character trait, her only character trait, is that she's a lesbian. We don't know anything about her. I think every one of the other X's in this series were a little bit more fleshed out than this character. I don't even remember her name, and I only just finished reading this volume like an hour ago or a little less. So I do think that this book suffers a little bit because it makes the actual plot of the book not very important. It doesn't seem like it's trying very hard on that. Now, in all of the space that this book does not spend on Scott fighting the evil X, it does spend that time exploring his personal life a little bit, which I kind of complained about that in some of my other reviews. I kind of like it here because we're starting to see Scott's life slowly begin to fall apart, which is ironic since this volume is called Scott Gets It Together. But I really like that we're starting to see his band is not as much of a band as they think they are. They're not practicing. A running joke in this series, or in this volume, is that they are recording. Scott's friend and bandmate Steven, he keeps saying, guys, we're recording right now. We're recording an album. So every time they say, hey, why haven't we been practicing for months? He says, we're recording an album. And then one of the friends of the band, young Neil, he's kind of starting to not like these guys very much because they're not hanging out with him. We start to see that Ramona is not a very nice person, and I begin questioning why Scott is even fighting for her in the first place. Here, Ramona kind of gets mad that Scott doesn't know anything about her, but then she won't tell him anything. She has been very deliberate in not telling him anything about herself, and then she kind of gets mad at him for not knowing anything about her. And then she gets mad that he's hanging out with one of his friends from high school who she initially said that she liked, and then she's like, whoa, did you two ever have a thing? And Scott and her did not ever have a thing. And then she spends the night with her ex-girlfriend. Ramona is kind of a jerk, and again, I'm questioning why Scott is fighting for her. Earlier in this series, I was kind of thinking that this series was going to spend most of its time making us think that Scott was going to be fighting for Ramona, and then we would actually find out that he's going to end up with Kim, because he did briefly date her in the past before the series began. I still don't know if the series is going to end in that direction. I feel like it would be a huge, gigantic letdown to spend 6 volumes with Scott fighting all of these evil X's to win the love of Ramona, and then have it not actually happen and he ends up with Kim. But at this point, I'm kind of thinking that Kim would be a better girlfriend for Scott than Ramona, because I don't really see any redeemable aspects about this character. And that is a problem that any series is going to have when your protagonist has this ideal super girlfriend or super boyfriend maybe, and then it's like, hey, that's them, that's my super girlfriend, that's my super boyfriend, they are perfect, they are completely flawless, and then you kind of have a problem trying to portray that character to actually live up to the hype that the protagonist is building them up towards, if that makes any sense. You kind of had that in the TV show Community, where Jeff was like really wanting to get into British pants, and for the first few episodes it was like, yeah, she's like really awesome and perfect, and then it was like, wait, we have to give her flaws, we have to make her actually human, and then you start thinking, wait, why is Jeff so obsessed with getting in her pants? Kind of sort of the same here, where Scott basically doesn't know anything about Ramona. He knows that she's hot, and he likes her because she's mysterious, which isn't really enough to go on, especially not enough to fight like 8 different people, because we find out at the end of this volume that she also dated some twins who presumably he will be fighting in the next volume. So those are my kind of rambly thoughts on Scott Pilgrim Volume 4. Didn't like this volume as much as Volume 3. I do think that part of the the problem also is that Volume 3 kind of have been building up to for a while now because we had Scott's ex-girlfriend and one of Ramona's ex-boyfriends together as dual antagonists, and I think that really worked well, whereas here, where do you go after you've been building up to Envy Adams for a few volumes, and then you've also been slowly building up to Gideon throughout the entire series? So I guess the only place left to go is Gideon, and we still have 2 more volumes before we'll get to him. So overall, didn't really care for this one as much, but I hope that you guys liked this video. I hope that you will like, share, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to check out some of the other stuff that I'll be doing later this year. I'll be doing a whole bunch more videos, over 340 roughly, so check all those out, and in the meantime, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day.